And all right, we are live. All right. One of these days, I'm going to cut you into little pieces. My name is Jack Mangan. You know me through Metal Asylum here at the Metal Asylum Livestream website and Facebook presence. The Metal Hall of Fame, lots of exciting stuff is going on with the Metal Hall of Fame. We got the there's a gala event in New Jersey to honor the 2021 class of inductees, and stay tuned. 2022 is going to be exciting too, so that's exciting. I was quoting Roger Waters. I'm rocking the Roger Waters shirt. It's not exactly metal, but that's all right. Oh, and yeah, you also know me from the Am I Evil graphic novel, which is trucking along. Just had a good meeting with my artist. We're getting there, and I'll have lots of updates on that coming soon. It's of course based on the classic Diamond Head, and Metallica famously did a cover. But enough about me. That's not why you're tuned in. You're tuned in because we were really privileged. Oh, by the way, my cohort Rich Tino may or may not join. I know he's got stuff to do. He's not buried in my backyard, and you'll need a warrant if you want to prove that. No, he'll be back. So over to my left on the right side of the screen, we are really privileged today to have the three of the guys from the band Schumann. We've had Farhad in the center. We've had him on before to talk about just life in general and quarantine life and everything we talked to them last year, but they have a new album out. So I'm going to stop rambling. I'm going to let these guys introduce themselves. But first, you guys, thank you so much for taking some time out to join us today. Appreciate it very much.
Yep. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Farhad, lead vocals and guitar.
Tyler, the other guitar.
Jose, bass player.
All right, excellent. And well, I'm going to ask a question first, and then I want you guys to riff a little bit. But I got to ask. So I know you talked about in the run up to the brand new album coming out momentarily, coming out very soon. Memories and Intuition. You said it was a lot more of a pop album. So I want to get your I'll throw that out there. Go ahead and run with that. Tell us a little bit how you kind of came to that thought that this is more of a pop album than what you've done before.
I mean, it was pretty natural. I mean, we didn't intend to just say, hey, we're going to write a pop album. I think just the material that I was writing was shorter, a little bit more fine-tuned, more big on melodies and songwriting, and listening back to it, it just kind of reflected more of a pop background than a prog rock or progressive metal background. That's certainly not true for all of the songs, but there's, I think, a good amount of material that's pretty fine-tuned, that leans a little bit more towards pop, not modern pop as far as what we're talking about now, but like pop of the past, I guess. Big melodies. The lyrics are still not like pop lyrics, but when you put it together, sometimes it may come across as kind of pop. But we definitely have the progressive elements in there as well, like the odd times and all that stuff. They're there. It's just you have to really hone in on it to figure out where it is. I think that would sum it up, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can't really call it a pop because it's not pop, but it's more poppier than previous approach.
Poppier, yeah.
Yeah, more accessible, I guess, to listeners in a way. Not really pop music, but, just more accessible.
Yeah, it would be kind of like Falling to Infinity for Dream Theater. Memories and Intuition would be for Schumann, I guess. Where the progressive elements are there, but there's definitely like a pop tinge that we pulled from, for this one for sure.
I get it. And I guess part of it, maybe not having a 13-minute epic to close out the album. I guess that's a change. Was that a conscious thing? Do you guys say, no more of that, or is that just how it kind of shook out with the songs that you wrote for the album?
I think it was a conscious thing for this one, because the last one was 15 minutes long. The one before that, we had a 13-minute long song, and we found when we're playing shows, if you're playing one of those songs, basically that's like half your show. So you're playing that and maybe like 2 other songs, and then you're done. So we're like, maybe we should write shorter songs so we can actually play more material live. So that was part of it. And like for the album after this, who knows? Maybe we'll come back around to it. But yeah, I mean, we do have a 9-minute song on this album, which is kind of epic. And it's got all the prog candy in there.
Yeah, 2 instrumentals too. So
yeah, so there's 2
instrumental
instrumentals.
stuff. Yeah, that's good stuff too. Very technical stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's got its prog elements in there. I mean, like no pop album would have like 2.5 instrumental songs on there, right? And that's included in this one. So
yeah. I can't. Yeah, I don't think Katy Perry ever did that on one of her records.
let's see. Try.
Yeah, I'd be impressed. Hey, but I mean, that was so. Actually, Jose, you kind of hit on one of my list of questions. So let's just go there. So you guys, I mean, you guys seem to have the love for the instrumentals. I mean, you have a great vocalist there. So tell us about how that comes around. That you guys is it just where you're in the middle of a song, and you're just saying that this doesn't feel like it needs vocals, or vocals are gonna screw this up, or how do you kind of come there with all these, with your love of instrumentals, I guess?
Well, I know, like, for Jose and I, we're huge fans of Rush, and they always had like an instrumental from time to time on their records. So even like, when we were young, like late teens, when we would write music, we would always write instrumentals as well, just to kind of prove to ourselves what we can do.
Right. If Rush did it, we have to do it too.
Yeah. And then I think that kind of just stuck. I mean, like, there's a lot to be said for instrumental music that can say something to you without a vocalist and a lyric behind it. So that's kind of my approach to instrumental writing, is having a melodic instrument pretty much taking place of what a vocalist might do. So there's like choruses and things like that, bridges, like a regular song, but the main instrument is more, a guitar or a keyboard rather than a vocalist. It gives me a break too, which is nice. I don't have to think about lyrics to write or anything like that. That's one less thing for me to do.
That's a good point. Yeah, you're not going to forget the lyrics on stage. Yeah, that's a good point. Well, I mean, I guess that does lead to, and I'm please correct the pronunciation if I say it wrong, but Jabriel's song. So, am I saying Jabriel? Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's that's the song. I mean, I'm a fan. I think I've really loved all 3 albums that you guys have put out. But that's the song that that was my holy shit moment. I know I said it was gonna be PG, but shit is PG. So that was that song. I mean, it's not the only great moment in the album, but that's where I really stood up and took notice. So tell me a little bit about how that song came to be and how it kind of goes. It has some movements, I would say. Like, if we want to talk musical pieces, like talk me through how that song came about, what it's about. I know it's an instrumental, but tell us a little bit about what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, the meaning can change every other day, I guess, because there's no lyrics behind it. But yeah, I mean, that's essentially like an arpeggiated motif. Tyler's playing the acoustic guitars on the track, and we doubled it with an electric as well. Yeah, so basically, I wanted to run that arpeggiated segment as long as I can go, and see how far I can go without boring people. And basically, when I got bored, that's when there's a transition. So that was a test of patience, I guess. How many melodic elements can I throw over the same chord progression before changing it up and giving something for prog fans to actually appreciate?
Songwriting 101. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the most prog answer I've ever heard. Let's see how far we can push the audience's patience. But no, I mean, the song, it just kicks ass to me. That's the thing. I mean, even, I know in my review I even kind of threw in Dimebag Darrell's name. Like, I feel like there's some who's not a prog guy. Of course, everybody loves Pantera and the work he did, but not prog. But there's still, like, the fact that it's this heady kind of song that goes through these movements and does all these things and says all these things and has all these moving parts. But then there's a Dimebag element to it. That's pretty cool. So my hat is off to you guys for.
Thank you. No, that's really appreciate it. That's weird. It's strange because I never even went there. That was never in my headspace. Like, Tyler is the metal guy of the band. If anybody, yeah, he's like the Megadeth, Metallica, Pantera guy. But yeah, that's really cool. I guess the dive bomb thing is coming from him. The cool thing about this, so when writing the songs for this, I also kind of imagined how it would go over live. So even though, like, for Jabriel's song, it has that sequence that kind of just repeats throughout the song, I did think about Tyler, and I was like, he would get really bored if he just stayed with that one passage all across the board. So luckily, there's a lot of like harmony guitars and dual leads and things like that, so he wouldn't be bored playing it live as well. So I do think about playing live sometimes when songwriting. Giving them a break.
All right, cool. Well, and so, I mean, you guys, obviously we've got guitars, vocals, and guitars and bass there. So tell us a bit about the drums on the album. Is this a Spinal Tap kind of thing, or tell us what's happening with the bass or the drums?
Yeah, I think we're kind of known to be the Spinal Tap, like we personify that whole like Spinal Tap drummer situation thing. I mean, the first album we had, I don't know, like four guys on that first album, I think. Second album was a little bit more, okay, yeah, we've got the same guy for the whole record. This album, same situation as the first album, where, you know, we've got what, I think 5 drummers on this album now. So I mean, it's really difficult for him because Jose being a bass player, we're the kind of band that really likes a locked in rhythm section. You know, the bass is answering for anything the drums are doing. So Jose had to like adapt his playing style to 5 different drummers, which is probably not that easy to do.
Yeah.
And he can kind of talk about his approach. Yeah. What would you say is the hardest part?
Gee, let's see. Well, yeah, I guess the different drummers. I mean, if there was one song that really was really, I don't know, I guess tricky, was The Pursuit of Happiness with Atma Noor on there. Oh my God, his drumming was just some crazy stuff, very active. So that really kicked my ass, kicked my butt, you know.
Yeah.
But no, it's like part of the fun, I guess, you know.
Yeah, that it was funny because while we were tracking that, he's like, I don't even know what to do here. Like, he's going crazy on the drums.
Yeah.
Maybe this whole like locking in with the drums thing isn't. We're taking it too far. And I was like, no, we gotta lock in with the drum.
Yeah.
I'm not leaving my wingman. You know, like. But it was, I mean, what we ended up with, I thought, was pretty amazing. Like that whole bass sequence in the intro of that song. I mean, it's very Rush inspired for sure. But it really brings that song to life because the chord progression is pretty simple, kind of jazzy chords. I don't even know what the chords are, but the bass line is what really elevates that song, I think. So yeah, he had the hardest job, I think, amongst all of us, besides tracking vocals, because that can get pretty difficult at times. But for him to have to adapt to 5 different drummers, virtual hats off to this guy.
Good stuff.
I forgot what your initial question was, though.
No, I mean that was basically it. It was about the
the
drum, the drums in the album.
Yeah, and I mean, we were blessed enough to have like some of our favorite drummers, some of the world's greatest drummers on this album. You know, like we've got Thomas Lang, Atmar Noor, like Jose was saying, Leo Margaret of Pain of Salvation, a friend of mine, Chris DiChiera, who's playing drums on it, and I'm missing somebody, Mark Zonder, of course, who also played on our first record. And Mark, of course, famous for playing for Fate's Warning. So we were, I mean, it's amazing. I mean, like just for us to think that, wow, Thomas Lang wanted to play on our album. It's like, I'm still pinching myself, really, like, holy crap, you know?
Yeah.
That's
you can say holy shit. It's okay. No, that's pretty cool. No, I mean, I seem to recall, correct me if I'm wrong, I remember, I want to touch on, I know you've done some of the Quarantunes where you did some covers. I think there were you were behind the kit for some of those, right? Was there ever a place where it would have made sense for you to be on the kit for this album?
I thought about it, and in fact, I demoed one of the songs with me playing drums on it. It was passable, but like I'm a huge drum fan, so I am not a drummer, and it definitely came across like me playing drums and didn't sound like a real drummer to me. Like, I don't know, it's kind of weird. Like I appreciate drumming too much for my drumming to be on the album. So I tried it, it didn't work well, so I was like, we've got to outsource all of this to good drummers. And then Tyler suggested that we might as well reach out to some of our favorite drummers, and so we came up with a list, and I just kind of shot it out. And obviously Mark Zonder was an obvious pick because I worked with him before, and he's such a killer drummer. So we had him on a couple songs. Thomas Lang was just a shot in the dark. I really didn't think he would even respond to me, but he responded very positively, and he actually heard the music that I sent to him, broke it down. So I knew he wasn't just like breathing, smoke or throwing smoke at us. He actually liked the songs, and for him to actually take the time to carve out some time for him to track Schumann stuff.
It's pretty surreal, to be honest. Yeah.
Speaks volumes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's excellent. Yeah. Tony Mass says, nice lineup of drumming talent, by the way. We got some people out there watching. By the way, if you're watching, we're talking to Shumaun, who are amazing East Coast. I don't want to say prog metal because that's kind of pigeonholing him, but that's if you have to put a label in. If you're going to go in the record store and look for them, that's where they're going to be. So if you have questions, by all means, throw out your questions. These are like, they're much smarter than me. They can answer them. So.
I don't know about that.
But I'm sorry, I don't know if somebody had anything else. I hope I didn't cut somebody off about the drums. But otherwise, I want to. So let's talk. I mean, all three of you guys. Well, like I said, feel free to follow up on that. Or I want to ask all three of you guys tell me about your favorite tracks on the album. What are your favorite parts of this album? Even if it's just segments of the album.
I'll start with Tyler. What was some of your favorite songs?
My favorite is probably Memories of Water. It's such a fun song to play, fun song to listen to, and I love the video. Farhad found some old VHS tapes he could convert to digital form and made a nice video out of it. Fun to watch, but the song itself is great.
Yeah, that was a trip going through all this archive footage for the video. I mean, we were still in quarantine, so we were quite limited to what we can do for a video. But I knew I wanted to release a video, so I was like, I know I've got a ton of footage of us, growing up when we were kids and late teens. So I was like, I might as well just go through all that footage and just slap them on. And basically the video looks like my quarantine videos, right? So I was like, I don't want it to look exactly like the quarantine videos that I did. Obviously I was limited, so I just kind of threw in that footage. And it, playing it back and going through all that footage was super nostalgic. And it was just like, wow, it kind of changed the meaning of the song itself, which is kind of cool. So now when I listen to it, it means something different than when I wrote it. So yeah, that's definitely the catchiest, I think, on the album. For me, the favorite one would be, actually come back to me. Maybe I have to think about it. What's yours?
Yeah, there's a few. I don't know. I like Invincible. That's a good track. The instrumental stuff I like. Let's see. Tides also. I like Tides. It's funny that I love locking into the drums, and there's a little section at the end, that end section I lock in so perfectly. I love that. It's that's one of my favorites too.
So Tides was a song that I wrote for a band that I was in called Encompass, which Jose was in as well, and this was way back in like 2006 or 2007. And I could never get the chorus right, and it was supposed to go on our first record. We bumped it off the first record. It was supposed to go on our second record, bumped it off the second record, revisited it again for this one, and I still didn't like it. And I just kept going back, and something just didn't seem right until I completely changed the chorus melody. The music, the bed track is completely the same, but I changed the vocal melody and the lyrics to the chorus, and then I was like, finally, okay, it's finally ready after, however many years to be on the album.
Made the cut. Finally.
Yeah, finally made the cut. For
cool.
me, I think Jabril's song is one of my favorites too. I really like the guitar melody of it. I think it's kind of emotional without me singing, which is always helpful. And then it's too early for me to pick a song. I have to take a step back. Maybe in a year I can actually go back and figure out my favorite one. The long one is called. Goodness gracious.
The long track on the album is good.
Breathing Light.
Breathing Light.
That's
it. Yes. I was going to say that those are all good, nice answers, but you're all wrong. Actually, those are all incorrect. That the best song is actually A Planetary Shift. So just so you guys know, just saying.
Yeah. He actually, Tyler, you can talk about your relationship with that song.
Yeah, well, I heard the demo of the whole album that Farhad recorded, and I hated it. That was my least favorite song. But once we were done recording, that became my favorite. Until
that's cool.
We made a video for Planet, the Memories of Water. But yeah, that's very atmospheric song. It's almost like a Pink Floyd. You can dim your lights and put on some show, and then listen to that song, and you feel like you'll be traveling through planet to planet.
Yeah, I mean that was it's definitely a different kind of track for me. I don't know. So you actually really like that track? I mean, or are you just kind of mocking us?
No mockery at all. No, that is legitimately my. If I had to pick a favorite, like I said, I think Jabril's song and A Planetary Shift. Those are my two favorite on the record.
That's cool. I'm glad to hear. I mean, that was kind of more experimental for me as a writer to write something like that. Yeah, I mean, I do like that one as well. I think vocally, it's probably the more emotional one on the record. So yeah, what do you think about that one?
It's a good one. Yeah.
He's like, that one sucks.
Well, actually, like Tyler said, I absolutely heard the Pink Floyd thing. I've already referenced Pink Floyd like 10 times in this interview, but yeah, I absolutely, that's a big deal for me. But so we have a question again. Tony Mast wants to know, when does the new album drop?
September 10th. So in a couple of weeks,
September
a little
10th.
less than a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And it's
Exciting.
available on our
10
website,
days or something.
Shumaun.com.
Yeah.
For the physical. And if you're in Europe, just go to justforkicks.de. If not, just Google Just for Kicks, the German company. They handle all of our European distribution.
And Kicks is spelled correctly, K-I-C-K-S.
Not Kicks not Kicks the band.
Or they're in your
the cereal.
Yeah.
yeah. Or they're right in your neighborhood, right? You guys are in
That's
the
true.
DC area, so yeah, there you go. It's we had those guys on a couple of months ago or last year. They broke every viewer record imaginable. We've talked to some giant people, Anthrax, Megadeth, and Kicks blew them all out of the water for viewership. It's amazing.
They're amazing live. I don't even know how Steve Whiteman still pulls off the vocal stuff that he did, back when he was in his 20s. It's pretty.
And I brought that up to say, have you guys had any, since you're kind of in each other's backyards, have you ever had any crossover since you've seen them live? I mean, I think you're required, right, in Maryland and Virginia, like you're required to go see them live at some point.
Especially there was a club in not too far from here called Jack's, and they used to play there all the time. Funny Money,
I remember.
Yeah, we'll play there a few times.
Yeah.
I'm really good. So Mark Schenker, who's their bass player, he's in a Rush tribute band called Sundogs. And their drummer is a good friend of ours as well. We used to play in a band with them. So I'm connected through that, I guess. So I kind of know what's going on with the band just through knowing Vince and his relationship with Mark Schenker. And I think now their cover band or tribute band, the guitar player is also subbing in to play guitar for Kicks now too. So
wow.
Even a deeper connection there.
Nice. All right, cool. Well, all right, another question for all three of you guys. I mean, all these questions for all three of you guys, really. But so now, I mean, this is album number 3. I mean, you guys have a career, you have a trajectory, you have history. Like, talk to us about it. So I'm going to get a little philosophical, so go with me here. So how do you see this album in perspective with the others? Do you see it as like a left turn, as a growth? I mean, just like I said, roll with me, work with me here. I'm not fully sure what I'm asking, but I'm basically, what do you guys think of where this album fits in your career?
It's just natural. Whatever came out, we tried this, we tried that, and we want to try something else. We want to stick with the same thing, or whatever came out.
Yeah, I think. I think that's one thing that's cool about these guys here is we're pretty open to any kind of musical output that's under the Schumann moniker, right? So, there's some like more electronic stuff on this album. Like there's the electronic-ish kind of closer. We're not scared to not be labeled prog, or this is not prog enough, or this is pop, or like who knows, the album 4, there's a reggae song on it. I have no idea. There's a good chance that there might be. Like, we don't stop ourselves from thinking like, okay, this is not prog, so therefore we can't write it or we can't release it. And for us, I think as long as the song speaks for itself, and has some kind of emotion behind it, I think we'd back it. So we're not, this isn't our career. Like, like it would be great if this was all we did and this is how we made our living. But so we don't have to gamble and worry about what people are going to say, because, oh no, one less fan, like it's not going to be that big a deal. As long as we're happy. And that's as honest as we can be, right? So as long as we're honest and we're putting out a snapshot of where we are at that moment in time, and people connect with it, it just means that much more to all of us, because it's like you really are connecting with us as, you know, people, as musicians, and I think that's what's more important for us. So, you know, one album might be more prog than the other, but that's probably the most prog thing you could do is just change with every album, right?
Right. Good stuff. Yeah, Jose, what do you have anything you want to add on top of that?
I was going to say it's funny because you know, it seems like, you know, we try something new, but there's always that Schumann core underneath, you know. So even though it may be pop and catchy or however you want to label it, there's always these parts and sections that we just have to come back to. It's like, you know, as you're writing, it's like, yeah, that's missing. There's something here that needs to go here. And what does it turn out? It's some 15, 16 part, some crazy technical thing. So it doesn't matter how much we want to be, you know, pop or, you know, that sort of thing. I don't know. There's always something there with Schumann that we just do it, you know.
And it's true, because all the odd, as much as we, you know, experiment with odd times, it's never like an intentional thing. Like sometimes for us, like we'll write something and Jose will play me a riff or something, and I'll be like, oh, that's in 7. And he's like, no, it's in 4. And I'm like, no, if you count it, it's actually in 7. And like sometimes when we try to make it 4, like let's make it a little bit more accessible. Let's make this 7 and make sense of it and play it in 4. Sometimes, like for the both of us, we're like, it seems like it's too long. Like the bar is going on too long. So we feel like we have to chop it. Yeah. And it
sounds correct. It feels fine.
It sounds more 4/4 to us in 7 than it does.
That's
in
so
4.
strange. It's an odd thing. Actually,
you know. And that's probably, you know, that's just the byproduct of us growing up to bands like Rush, I guess. Where like when I started being a Rush fan, I knew nothing about odd time signatures. I just liked the music. So that's probably one of the reasons why we can interlace, you know, all kinds of crazy time signatures, but it still, you know, translates in a way that an average non-prog person can listen to and still make sense of in a weird way.
I see. So then the truth really with the drummer situation is that they just keel over behind the kid after a couple of songs. So it's that they can't handle all the time changes. No,
yeah,
okay.
That's it. Yeah, that's what
they
happens.
just like go up in flames. It's weird. It's
Final Tap thing.
You should check out Thomas Lang's page to see if he posted anything.
Right. Someone check in on him, please. All right. Well, actually, we've got a question from the world. J.R. Murdoch says, "Where's the best place to sample some Schumann music?"
So if you go on Shumaun.com, the first 2 records are streaming there. We're on Spotify, iTunes, like pretty much every digital platform. Give me 1 second here, because my neighbor is calling me and Jose's parked in the driveway. So why don't you go ahead and move your car?
Okay.
Yeah.
We're live.
Yeah, this is what happens. This is live TV. So what was the question here? Jose just kind of threw me off there.
just the best places to find to sample.
Yeah, on
Schumann
Spotify, it's probably the easiest place to get it because it's free. You're just streaming it and giving us 0.00001 cent per stream. So, you know, listen to us a lot on there, and maybe, you know, we can buy a Happy Meal or, you know, Super. Spotify, we're on there, and the 3rd album will be there September 10th, as soon as it rolls around.
Cool. And you guys have a new video out on YouTube, right? I mean, that's
yeah, we've got 3 singles out now. We just released the 3rd one, Intuition Underground, with a pretty cool animated lyric video. So yeah, that's out too. Get on YouTube. Schumann is the moniker. You can find us there.
And well, all right, that's not where I was going to go, but I do. Since you brought up that song, like listening to this album, you know, you kind of just, you know, you're jamming along, and then suddenly like this Rick Derringer guitar riff kind of just comes out of nowhere. Like what? I mean, Tyler, you got to tell me. Both of you guys tell me about that song, because that is a little bit out of left field.
It is,
but it's killer. It's killer. It's a blast of a song. It's a prog song by the end of it, but I'd say or proggish. But you know that riff just knocks me out every time. So I mean, tell me about that song a little bit. Since we went there, let's talk about it.
Yeah, it's kind of like I would say like a 70s riff rock kind of riff. Right? Yeah. It's very nostalgic. I mean, you listen to it, you think like Led Zeppelin. That's where I was kind of imagining. I mean, and you know, as I started writing, like someone else pointed out that my vocals are kind of Chris Cornell-y. So it's just, you know, again, like unintentional influences, you know, we don't shy away from, you know, like our influences. I'm not, you know, there's Dream Theater influences, there's Rush influences, Led Zeppelin. We're not like, oh, we're not, you know, fans of these bands. I mean, it's obvious at times. That one is straight riff rock, you know. It's just like you just bop your head to it. It's kind of like a dirty riff,
Right.
which is different from us. And I think it'll be cool once we play it live, how that translates.
I bet. All right. Well, actually, I can transition. So I got something you and I talked about before, but I want to definitely will ask this of Jose if he can get back in time before we're done. Is about your love of the 80s kind of synth pop and new wave. You know, I know we talked about this, I think, last time you were on a little bit, and you know, I love that stuff too. I'm a metal guy, but you know, I love it all. And so tell us, well, Tyler, first of all, do you share Farhad's love of like Tears for Fears and Flock of Seagulls and that stuff?
I can't name like 3 songs from like Tears for Fears. Like, come this way.
Jose's back.
There we go.
Yeah, we got different. I think all 3 of us has different favorite band and favorite music, favorite song, favorite style. We try to, I guess, accommodate each other's musical taste. But at times we do kind of push it a little bit this way and push it the other way. See how the other guys like it.
He was asking about love of 80s music and 80s pop. Do you share some of that?
80s, of course. I love it. Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, best decade for music, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I expect that from Tyler. Even in high school, you know, he was like, "Oh, Megadeth, Metallica." You know, it's like there's more to Megadeth and Metallica, man. It's like, no, Megadeth and Metallica is life. Yeah, I mean, I grew up just in the 80s, raised on radio, right? So all those songs, you know, if I look back on it now, if I never lived that decade, I probably would have hated it. But I think because it's so nostalgic to me, I do think the songwriting was great. Even pop bands, you know, they wrote their songs. The melodies were great, and you actually had to play an instrument to play them. And, you know, we were talking about Katy Perry and her doing an instrumental. I go back, if Katy Perry did an instrumental, it actually probably would kick ass because she's working with a bunch of session musicians that probably are like the best musicians in the world. So I take that back.
True.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just that love, even for the progressive music in the time. We're both like huge Marillion fans of the Fish era. And, you know, that kind of spanned across the 80s up until like 87 when he left the band. And so all that is just kind of like in our DNA when it comes to writing music. So whether we like it or not, regardless of what genres we go in and out in our music, that like the big hooks and the melodic lines are always going to be there. And I think that's coming from the 80s. I'm not sure, but as far as I can tell, I think that's probably coming from that decade.
Well, that's great. That's great. Jose, I don't know if you had anything more to add to that.
No,
Tyler was saying like not much, but
yeah. I guess I kind of missed, you know, some of the questions, but I guess I agree. You know, the influence is always there, the 80s stuff. You know, so yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, let's kind of take that a step further. So, geek out for a minute. Again, this is for all 3 of you guys. Geek out a little bit about some of the stuff that you grew up with that you think is just freaking brilliant, that maybe doesn't get the attention or love that it gets anymore. Like just like, I don't know, we said Tears for Fears before, or Metallica, Megadeth. Obviously Metallica, yeah. They're the biggest band in the world, but
yeah, you can go first.
Well, let's see. You know, the first taste of prog I got was the Yes Fragile album. My dad used to listen to the cassette, you know, and that I just hearing that stuff, man, it just, you know, blew me away. So that was kind of my first taste of the prog stuff. And then Pink Floyd as well. You would listen to Jethro Tull, to Emerson, Lake and Palmer, that sort of stuff, you know. And then I guess, I don't know, I just naturally, I guess I discovered, you know, Tool, Marillion, Dream Theater, that sort of stuff. So yeah, a little bit of all that. Rush.
What would you say is one of your biggest influences from that decade?
from the decade of,
or from all time for that matter?
well, Rush for sure, as a bass player, songwriter, just Rush definitely. Dream Theater, the more technical stuff. And then,
Technical stuff.
yeah, Marillion, the melodic stuff, Tool, a little bit of everything, honestly. So, yeah.
Yeah, I for me, I mean, obviously, we've talked about it before. I mean, Tears for Fears is like for Rush, I'm amazed at the songwriting that they can interlace all the time signatures and just the musicianship behind it. But Tears for Fears is the band that is the only band that I can listen to and like just question everything that I have the ability to do. Like, I'm like, oh, I'm the horrible songwriter. Why can't I write something, as amazing as what Roland can do with just, a few chords, I think that's really difficult to do. And I think sometimes prog bands compensate by throwing in all this other stuff on top of it. It's certainly, that's how I was when I started writing. I would write a song and, I have this like self-awareness of, okay, this is too simple. We have to throw in some complicated bits. So you'll stick in a prog section in the middle or something like that for some kind of redeeming quality musically. And that was always that push and pull, because we love that melodic 80s stuff and then even the 90s stuff, but we also had that desire to show our abilities technically because of the bands like Dream Theater and Rush that we all loved, and we wanted to fuse them. Sometimes it was a battle. I think we're much better with that now because, like for me personally, I can leave that ego behind and I don't really care. I mean, there's some songs on this album that don't have guitar solos or it's just melodic passages. I think that just comes with age. You get more mature and you don't have to prove to yourself or to anybody else that, you can play, 64 notes and 250 BPMs or anything like that. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of like the evolution of songwriting. And if you follow a lot of prog bands, you'll see that similar evolution. Like they started off just crazy technical and eventually simmered down a little bit and focused more on songwriting because they already proved their points. Like for Dream Theater, there is no other band that can do what Dream Theater does now better than what Dream Theater does. So it's just like, but there's a lot of bands definitely trying to. But there's something special about Dream Theater that makes Dream Theater Dream Theater. And for me, like I got all I needed from Dream Theater from their earlier albums. So I don't follow them as much as I did before, but they're holding the flame, bright and high, and nobody can touch them. I mean, I would say they're probably the biggest contemporary progressive band out there now. I mean, like you've got Dream Theater here. The second tier is not like just a notch below. They're like way down there when it comes to just success and notoriety, for that matter. Of course, you still have the big giants that are still touring from back in the day. I mean, we had Rush. Obviously, Rush is gone. But then you'll have these, like reunions or that happen every so now and then. Genesis and things like that, but
I have
no idea where I'm going with this. I don't even know how I started this deal, but that's my answer to a question that probably didn't ever exist.
No, it was perfect. It was a natural flow of it. And Tony Mass was just chiming in. He chimed in with love for the Marillion. He said, and also just saying Dream Theater is amazing to watch live. But yeah, I don't know, Tyler. I don't know if we got your answer about just some stuff you grew up with that just people that should get more love.
Yeah, more love. Well, I never got into that. I never got into progressive metal, prog rock. I understand it, but and it's fun playing those songs as a guitarist. But I couldn't listen to it like album after album after album. It's like, what story are you trying to tell? Like, what's so fun about this? I mean, I understand it's fun to play.
I just find it funny because I remember we would try to convert him for years. And we'd play. I remember playing him 2112. Like, check this out, this concept. And he was like, this is all great, but this sounds like another song just came out of nowhere. Why don't they just make it two different songs? I was like, you don't understand, man. It's prog.
Yeah, I mean, I understand it's complicated. It's good musicianship, but what's the story? Like, what's the point? Why? Maybe something I don't understand. But I was more into whatever sounds good to me, which was straight out thrash metal, Megadeth, Metallica, and some old British heavy metal like
Sanctuary,
like Iron Maiden and Black Sabbath, Priest, AC/DC, like all that typical.
Yeah, Tyler was
more
like the traditional metal guy, like all those like big thrash bands, new wave of British heavy metal. I mean, like that's what like Tyler lived and breathed throughout high school, and not much has changed.
some Guns N' Roses and Skid Row and all this little glam rock, a little bit of that, but they're all very successful. See, I've been getting into this Korean rock band called Taorim. Now Korea is known for their K-pop, but not for their rock. So if I can get someone to love a little bit of that, I would like that.
You heard it here first. Album 4.
K-pop.
Don't be surprised if we have some Korean influences there.
New market for us.
Yeah.
But K-rock, or would it be K-rock or K-pop? That's the big.
Yeah. It'd be K-prog.
K-prog.
We're doing a brand new genre here.
Yes. You heard it first. You heard it here first, man. K-prog. Yeah, I love it.
Though I'm sure there's a ton of progressive bands in Korea that are just
Dream Theater is huge in Korea.
Nice. All right, that's great stuff. And by the way, Tyler, I'm right here. I love the prog stuff, but man, I grew up on Overkill and Metallica, Megadeth, Maiden. I love it too. We've talked to Bobby Blitz in this space, and he's probably the one time I ever went like kind of goofy and fanboy a little bit, because I was just Bobby was like, holy shit, it's Bobby Blitz. Huge into all that stuff. But all right, well, let's I know we don't have too much more time left, and again, thank you. I know we've had Tony Mass has chimed in a bunch, so thank you, Tony. If you have more questions, JR Murdoch, if you're still watching, or if anyone else out there is still watching. But I will ask you guys. So talk to me about. I know actually, Farhad, last year we talked about how you guys, since you have day jobs and that kind of thing, you don't really do the big tours and that kind of thing. So how are you, especially in quarantine and Delta variant times, how are you guys going to promote the album?
It's rough. It's becoming really difficult. A lot of the clubs that we played locally, in DC, Maryland, and Virginia, they're no longer here because of COVID. So they either closed down, or they don't do live music anymore, or they just do cover bands. So it's really tough. We do have a show coming up in a couple of weeks, and we're hoping to play a couple songs from the new record there. But like we don't have like a proper CD release show like we had on the previous 2 albums. Which is kind of sucky, honestly. So, I mean, I'm just, we have some opportunities coming up, but they're, just mostly local shows at venues, DC, Maryland, Virginia. And I think right now it's been so long since we played. We just recently started practicing. We pretty much stayed in our own quarters the whole quarantine period. So right now we're just looking forward to playing a few shows and getting used to it again, and just getting that rust lubricated with some fine prog oil, and then and taking it from there. Hopefully, and depending on how the fall goes, it's not looking too good, unfortunately. But I mean, if things pan out, we'll certainly play as much as we can, and try to expand, up and down the East Coast if possible. We've had a couple tour opportunities that went bad in the past, so we've had bad luck when it comes to extended tours. But hopefully we can, if not this year, then next year, to support this album a bit more. It's kind of weird. I know a lot of bands aren't even releasing music because they can't tour to support it. We don't have to face that because we never did big tours anyway. So we're just like, screw it. This album was actually supposed to come out last year, but because of quarantine, everything, obviously everything got screwed up. So here we are, almost a year later, releasing it in September 10th.
All right. Well, and actually, a tail end on that is J.R. Murdoch actually asked a good question. Without being able to tour, are you going to do online events? Like, would you guys do an online show?
Yeah, I mean, I never really looked into that. I know some bands have done it. I would love to do that, but there's like all the technical side of that to get that to work to still sound good. We definitely have to experiment with that. If it turns out that we can't play shows because of COVID, I don't think we'll have any other choice but go that route. And it would be me pretty much doing my research to figure out how to do that so it still sounds decent enough that people would want to listen to it and not do this.
Yeah, no, I know. Some of the bands we talked to have talked about that. We've seen some who've pulled it off, and a lot of bands have said the same thing. We're worried about how we make it sound right. Other bands talk about feeding off the energy, and they're leery of it because there's no one there. There's no one in the front row banging their head.
Yeah,
or trying to air drum.
Yeah, we love playing live. I mean, like there is that energy that we feel. I mean, like some of our best shows were at the dingiest, smallest clubs, but those are easier to pack. And there's just some kind of mood that you get in these kind of environments, like
connection.
Yeah, there's definitely a connection there, and the people that like us really like us a lot. There's this like love for us, which is fantastic. And it's great because it's one, we're already playing a very niche market genre when it comes to music. So on top of that, we alienate even some of them because we have pop elements to it. So so the people that do like us a lot, and that means we're doing something right, because for everybody that hates us, there's going to be those people that love us, and that's what drives us. And in these small live environments, you have that connection that's like super beautiful, that we talk about after the show, like, wow, that was amazing, like that energy and the atmosphere that we like really vibed with, and they were vibing with us. It's pretty great. So like playing a live event digitally, you miss that, because you're in this weird void, the space that like you don't know where you exactly are. You're streaming in someone's bedroom, someone's watching you in a toilet, like that. That relationship is quite diluted in many sense.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Well, all right. So I'm only going to ask one more question, but it's probably a two-parter. I want to know, I guess, basically, what's next? I mean, obviously, album promotion, the album dropping, in less than 2 weeks. But what's on the near and far future for Shumaun? You guys already kind of made some references to album number 4, so it sounds like that's in your mind. So tell us about what's in the near and far future, and that's for all three of you guys.
Yeah, so I'll start to just get the ball rolling. So we're gonna release a Korean prog rock album. Yeah, I mean, the goal right now is just to try to promote this Memories and Intuition album that comes out September 10th as best as we can. I think for this one, because a lot of the songs are very singles oriented, that we're going to probably produce a lot of video content for it, whether it be lyric videos or playthroughs, or hopefully at some point we can make a proper video as well. So I'll look into that as well. I definitely want to prolong the life of the album by constantly releasing things, because I really do fear what COVID is going to bring, coming down the pipeline in fall. We definitely want to play as many shows as we can. And then, yeah, so album 4, I mean, I shouldn't even be talking about album 4. Album 3 is not even out yet, but it's always on my mind because album 3 is done for me. It's already out. It was out for me, several months ago, because that's already been recorded. I don't have anything written for album 4, but we'll get together and talk about what direction we want to go, or what we want to do for album 4. But right now it's just focusing on album 3, playing shows, and creating video content to promote it. I don't know what you want to do for album 3.
Yeah, I mean, that's a difficult question, because that's entire world. Like, what are we gonna do for next? We don't know how the world's gonna pan out. That's a fair question for everyone out there. Like, what's your plan for the next year, or what are you gonna do next? Like, who knows? Like, if we are done with the pandemic, that'll paint this picture. But if we have to live with the pandemic, it's gonna paint the other picture. So it's very difficult to answer that at this point. But yeah, as long as we have the guitars to play, we'll play the guitars.
Hey, Prog, album 4, man. It might come sooner than you think.
Yeah, I agree. I think, and right now, the immediate future, I guess, try to play shows, get to learning these songs, get back into some kind of playing shape, because it's been so long. It's a little difficult.
Yeah, our first rehearsal was a disaster. We were like, well, we can't move our fingers like we are we that old now? Luckily, after a couple practices, we're kind of
it's coming
now.
together. So, yeah. And then I guess just think about next album, next wherever that may lead us, the next project, I guess, next songs. So yeah, that's what we're looking forward to.
I think it's exciting because we have no idea what album 4 is going to be like, and it's weird talking about album 4 again because album 3 is right around the corner. But that's where our headspace is kind of, because we already know what album 3 sounds like, so it can go anywhere, and that's what's exciting. I know that it probably won't sound like this one, but who knows? It can go in the direction of crazy prog.
Yeah, we should do that. Do something completely different.
Yeah,
super metal. Alienate all of our fans.
Yeah, maybe we'll put out a thrash metal.
There you go.
Who knows? Like anything is possible. It might be just one big long prog song. Like,
oh no,
who knows? He's out. You're gonna see the next Schumann cover is just the two of us. Like, I mean, it should be fun. I think that's what's great is we don't know what's coming, and we'll slowly shape that future of what that album's going to be. But album three, that's what we're talking about.
True,
yeah.
Album 3.
Yeah. Well, I will say for Schumann fans, myself included, it's good to hear you guys even say there's going to be a Schumann 4. So that's excellent. That's good. You guys are foreseeing a future. I mean, as you said, we might, the world might completely fall apart where we're all just riding around like Mad Max killing each other. But, I'm glad that there'll be a album number 4. Let's see. Oh yeah, here's J.R. Murdoch's suggestion. From 2112 to 2021, Schumann does Rush. There you go.
Hey, maybe.
Nice.
The pandemic round 2. Schumann does Rush.
But yeah, so thank you guys so much. I'll let you guys have the final word. I'm just going to say thank you guys so much. Thanks for all the great music. 3 great albums. People should be paying attention to Schumann. You guys are kicking ass. So thank you guys so much. I'll let you guys kind of take us out with the final word. But yeah, thank you.
No, thanks for having us. This is my second time on Metal Asylum, so I really appreciate the support and all the reviews and the posts that you guys do about us. It touches me in my heart, man. I really appreciate it. This is fun. Believe it or not, this is the first interview that consists of the 3 of us together. So that's a revolutionary moment for us as a band. So no, I just want to say thanks for all the support, and for anybody watching, thanks for your support. Check out the band, Shumaun.com, Spotify, all that good stuff. Facebook, Instagram, we're on there. I'll pass it on to Tyler.
I love reading your reviews, so that brightens my day. So
cool.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Thanks for everybody tuning in. And yeah, check out the album, check out the band, So yeah.
All right. On that, thank you guys. Schumann, Memories and Intuition, September 10th. Thank you for watching, and thank you guys.
All right.
Thanks everyone.